Okay, Lone Star week 1B. Okay, it says M's brother is 1 4/10 meters tall. Her sister is 1 1/5 meters tall. In meters, what is the difference between their heights? So they're wanting to know the difference between the two heights. And difference means we're going to subtract. So 1 4/10 and 1 1/5. Okay, so let's work this out and see if it's going to be if we're going to be able to subtract it or if we're going to have to convert some fractions. So I'm going to find the least common multiple for 10 and 5, which I know what it is if I know my numbers. 5, 10. I didn't even have to get started, right? So 10 is your common denominator. So remember what I said about to make equivalent fractions, you have to have the same number. To make add or subtract, we have to have the same denominator. So we have to make equivalent fractions with 10 being the common denominator. So if 10 is already equal to 10, because this is what we know for the first fraction, we have to make 4 equal to 4. So this fraction right here did not change. But down here we have 1/5 equals something over 10. So we have to see what can I multiply 5 by to make it 10. And that's 2. And then whatever you do to the denominator, you do to the numerator. 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, we are subtracting. So we're going to look at it and we're going to see, can I have 4 and take 2 away? Yes. So I'm not going to have to borrow. I'm just going to subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. The denominator stays 10. Okay. But then we have to look at our whole numbers. We had 2 whole numbers over here. 1 and 1. Well, 1 minus 1 is 0. So there is no whole number. So my answer is just 2/10. However, 2/10 is not an answer choice, is it? Okay, so what we have to do is we have to reduce. So 2 over 10. To reduce, we make a T-chart for 2 and a T-chart for 10. And we're going to find the factors. In other words, what two numbers multiply together to equal 2. Like I know 1 times 2 equals 2. 2 times 1 equals 2. That's it. So that one doesn't change. For 10, I know 1 times 10, 2 times 5, 3 times 3 is 9, so that doesn't work. 4 times 5 is 20, 4 times 4 is 16, 4 times 3 is 12, 4 times 2 is 8. So, nope, 4 doesn't go into 10. And then 5, and that's 5 times 2, and we already have that, so we're done. So to reduce it, we look for the greatest common factor. That's the biggest number that they both have in common. So they both have a 1, and they both have a 2. The biggest number that they both have in common is a 2. So we're going to take 2/10, and we're going to divide the numerator by 2, and we're going to divide the denominator by 2. Okay, so let me erase this and get this out of my way. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my answer is 1/5. So that's how you would do number 1. Okay? I know that's a lot. All right, number 2. A will read 3/8 of his new book this week and 2/4 of the book next week. How much of the book will he have read by the end of the next week? So he's going to read 3/8 of the book this week, 2/4 of the books next week. How much of the book will he have read by the end of the next week? So they're wanting you to add. So 3/8 and 2/4. So we're adding. So we're going to find a common denominator. Well, you can list the multiples of 4 and 8. Or you can look and say, does the smaller denominator, which is 4, go into 8? And the answer is yes. Okay, but I'm going to do the multiples anyway. 4, 8, 12. 8. So that's going to be your common denominator. Okay, so you're going to find out what, if 8 times what equals 8? That's 1, right? So then it's 1 here. This one did not need to be done. That one would have been left alone. Okay, the bottom fraction is the one that we have to fix. 4 times what equals 8? 2 times what gives you the number. Okay, so 4 times 2 equals 8. So multiply by 2 up here. That will give you your numerator. Add them together. And that'll give you your answer. Okay, number 3. Elisha will work on math homework for 1.5 hours and science homework for 1 3/4 hours. How many hours will he work on math and science homework? So here's the question. How many hours? So how much time is he working on math and science? Well, he's going to work 1.5 hours on his math and 1 3/4 of an hour on science. So if we are, how many total? We're going to add 1.5 and 1 3/4. Okay, the smaller denominator is 2. So will 2 go into 4 evenly? Okay, so that means 4 is going to be your denominator. So 1/2 equals something over 4. So I know 2 times something equals 4. And that would be 2 times 2. So I'm going to do the same thing to the numerator. 1 times 2 equals 2. 4 times something equals 4, and that's 1. So I don't have to do anything to the numerator. It just stays the same. And now we're going to add. 3 plus 2 equals 5 over 4. We're going to add the whole numbers, 1 plus 1, and we get 2. Okay, now here's where we have to look at it. Because this right here is an improper fraction. So we have to convert the improper fraction to a mixed number by typo. Okay, so 5 divided by 4. 4 going to 5 1 times. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 left over. So this is a whole number. This comes up and it's going to become the numerator. And this will be the denominator. 1 1/4. So now I have 1 1/4. And then I have this 2 over here that I have to bring down. So I'm going to bring down over here. 2 plus 1 equals 3. And then 1/4 is my fraction. 3 1/4. Okay, number 4, look at the model below. Okay, and the model is showing you that this fraction is equal to this fraction. Okay, they're the same. They are both 3, 4, 5, 7 eighths. Okay, it's also showing that this fraction, 1/2, is the same as this fraction, 4 eighths. Which means my answer is 3 eighths. Okay, so there's really no work to this one, but we need to check and make sure that this is correct. Can 1/2 equal 4 eighths? So we're going to look at it. 2 equals 8 by multiplying it times 4, correct? So then I'm going to multiply by 4 up here on the top, the numerator. 1 times 4 is 4. So 1/2 does equal 4 eighths, which means this is correct over here, and that means 3 eighths is my answer. So 7 eighths minus 1/2 equals 3 eighths. Okay, guys, if you have questions, send them to me, text me, message me, whatever you need to do, and I'm here to help you whatever you need. Okay, but please make sure if you didn't get these 2 pages, these fast focus pages, just follow along, write the problem down. You don't have to write the words, just the problem. Like on the first one for number 3, 1.5 plus 1 3/4. Just write that down, add it, solve it, and just send a picture of it. But just like of all your work on that one page. Okay, it's 4 questions. Okay, and then just text it to me, email it, dojo it, whatever. If you don't get it at all, it's fine. Okay, just do the best you can.